Welcome to the Running Network Show. Join us each time as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great sport.
Okay, hello everyone. This is Gary Morgan with the Michigan Runner, Mr. Ubiquitous. Well, I'm in Los Angeles at the LA Marathon Skechers Expo. Well, this is a real treat here. First time I'm ever running this marathon. And we're in the LA Convention Center. As you can see, it's all about LA and nothing. It's all about Hollywood, as you can see. It's exciting, lots of lights, lots of people. You name it, they got it here because it's the LA Marathon in conjunction with the Olympic trials.
But I feel like I prepared as well as possible. I was wearing like 6 or 7 pounds of clothes, just to get a good sweat, But I spent a little bit of time in the sauna at my dad's house on the days that I trained easy and didn't sweat that much, and then I'd work out in the indoor facility at Grand Valley State where it's 70 degrees. So I did as much as I could, and I kind of had to weigh the difference between, being happy at home and training or, being, by myself at some training camp in Florida, and it was something I didn't really want to do. So I feel like I trained as good as possible, and I think it's only going to help me. I mean, it's one more factor to shake the race up, really.
Okay.
So.
Is it going to affect your strategy tomorrow?
Maybe I would be a little more hesitant to push it as early, I guess, as maybe I would if it was perfect conditions. Mm-hmm. In Boston, I remember taking the lead, at halfway, but it was 40 degrees, and so just the more factors there are, like weather or things like that, it just means more can go wrong, and so I think I'll just have to think twice before I do anything specific.
In the trials race, wouldn't halfway be awfully early to make that kind of an aggressive move anyway?
Not necessarily. It happened in 08 or 07, I guess, is when the trials were. We were 67 something, and Ryan ran 61 something, and I still came back in 64 flat or something like that. And so I think it'll be very interesting to see if someone wants to go earlier than halfway. I just can't see it happening, but I'll be ready if they do because I feel good in my fitness too. And so I don't think I will be pushing the pace too hard before halfway, but if someone else decides to go and the other good guys go with them, I'm not hesitating either. So
I think you were really happy with how you ran in Boston. How did you build off that to get ready for this?
I was really happy because Boston was kind of a step back for me because it had been a year and a half and I had been beat up, and it was my first time coaching myself in a major marathon, and so I was pretty cautious. My volume has been higher now than it was before that, and I've been a little more aggressive in my training just because I had been able to get that one good one in, and so Boston was pretty important for me. I mean, to be able to come out and I think I could have ran better, but it was a good step back to kind of where I had been before.
Looking for qualifying for your 4th Olympics, what would that mean to you?
Well, I just I got a message just before I came here, a voicemail from Abdi, and he's, Dathan, I'm cheering for you, man. I know you're gonna make that 4th team, and so he's the only other guy that's I guess before him George Young maybe but. Abby made that 4th team, and I remember how thrilled he was, and I was devastated at the time. And so it means really that's all my emotional energy, everything's been into making this 4th team. And so for me, this means everything right now. And so I feel really good. I feel comfortable with what I've done, and I'm focused on it. And so I haven't even thought past tomorrow really. So
looking back to your first Olympics.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing that's changed for you?
I got all 10 toes working. Last time I had broken metatarsal in my foot, and I hobbled my way on the team. And I never would have thought that, back then, 12 years ago, I was, one of the only guys with the standard, so I made the team. and so I'm not displacing anybody else. I had to go, even though I knew that it wasn't going to go well, because I had no idea. You know, there's a lot of people that there's great runners who never even make an Olympic team. So I guess 12 years later, sitting here thinking that I could hopefully make a fourth team, that's a pretty big blessing. And so I feel really good with where I'm at. And looking back to 2004, it seems like so many things have happened since then. But I'm just blessed and happy to still be going strong and feel good and feel like I have as good a shot as anybody to make that team.
And at the time, you ran because with a broken foot, because you're thinking, who knows, I may never make another Olympic team. This may be the only time.
Absolutely, that was my third stress fracture in less than 2 years, I guess, at that point. And so I didn't know if that was kind of the, what's going on here at that point. And so little did I know I'd come back, after 13 more stress fractures and 3 surgeries and all that stuff. So I can always bounce back, I guess, and it's not something that I knew at the time. At the time, it just seems like this is going to be the end of the road, and I've just been very fortunate to be able to, because a lot of it's luck, but a lot of it is just get back on your feet again.
Dathan, both trials, Ryan has sort of controlled the races. He sort of drove it right from the gun in 2012 when the weather was very nice. And you said in 2007 couldn't find a leader until he actually saw a picture of Canucci on the Jumbotron. I think they turned those damn things off. He saw that, knows how great closer he was, and then he just kicked it into gear and ran at 61:45. So the trials essentially has lost not just a personality, but they've lost the driver. And you're saying with this weather making everyone even more hesitant, does that play to your strengths, your experience? The fact if it's a 67 first half, would that bother you? Would you like that? I mean, fast. I mean, nothing.
Well, I mean, if they put Ryan in the lead car, maybe he'll still be the driver of the race. I don't know, but he did. I remembered vividly both those races. I mean, I remember looking at the screen the same time, coming through and seeing Canucci coming up, and Ryan took off, and he was unbeatable that day. But I remember in 2012 too. I mean, right from the start, you knew exactly what was happening. I mean, the first 100 meters, Ryan was in the front, and we were on 2:06 pace, and so. I guess I'd say of the 9 marathons that I've run, probably 6 of them I've gone out in 62, 50 something to 63, 50 something. I don't care if it's fast. I've been there and I've hit the wall before doing it, and I've closed well finishing doing it too. So I'm not afraid of going out hard. And so even in Beijing, we were out into crazy fast. I 63 something through halfway,
Exactly.
and I had a lot of problems in the later half of the race, but I had less problems than some people. So that's part of what the marathon is. You don't get everything right, but you minimize. If you're the one that has the least amount of problems, sometimes you're the winner. And so I just you gotta minimize mistakes.
But that's where experience comes into play.
Yeah,
right?
and I think that does play a big time. I mean, other than Neb, a couple other guys have ran more, but I've been in the big city marathons, I've been in the Olympic marathons and trials, and I guess each one of them you learn something and you have to take something from it. And I think if it's fast, I have to be able to trust who's pushing the pace and my own fitness and who's going with it. But those are just decisions that you make based on having done it before. And so it gives me a lot more confidence, because if you haven't done it before, you don't know what to expect on the other side of 20 miles when you've gone out that fast either.
As coaching and living over in Grand Valley and Grand Rapids, do you think helped your training this year?
It's been good for me because some of it's been from just the standpoint of there's a lot more energy with younger athletes. Sometimes you get set into your own ways and you kind of forget about everything else. And for me, that's been good. I've actually taken less time there though through this build-up, just selfishly focusing on my own training. And I worked out with some of the middle distance guys on some of the interval days. And so just having the facility though, it would have been hard in the winter otherwise. I mean, I was lucky that it's been so good in the Midwest. Every Friday or Saturday, it's basically been 40 to 45 degrees and clear roads. and so I've been able to do all my long tempo runs and long runs in good weather, and then done my intervals, on Tuesday or Wednesday on the indoor track at Grand Valley. It's 333 meters in lane 6, so it's three laps to a K, and then the last couple of weeks I've been in there a little bit more just because of the just trying to. It's 70 degrees in there, so it's just one more way to help get ready for the heat.
How has it been different this time being back in Michigan now training?
It's a lot different. I train, it's not different for me to train by myself because I've always kind of done that. I was kind of in my own niche wherever I was, and so I don't lack the motivation, for the self-motivation to get out there and train. So that was never difficult. The biggest difference, the biggest training difference is just for me to be able to be confident in what I'm doing, I had to run that training through some people that I really trust, and so it worked good for me for Boston. I ran it through Jason Hartman, was very successful. So as someone I trust a lot to look at my training, I'd send him my training and what I'd done a couple months beforehand, and then what I had planned for the last couple months, and he would tell me his ideas. Same thing with Greg Meyer and Krista Austin is the other person I use for that. And so, and then my agent Dan, just because he's a good sounding board. He doesn't maybe necessarily know everything, but he knows me as a person. And sometimes that's the biggest struggle when you're self-coaching yourself, is to not think of things emotionally, because you wrap everything into your training, and so you just want to. You think you can do more, and think you should do more, and so I've been able to realize that I need to do a little less and be healthy, but my intensity is still really good. And so I just, like Dan, for example, would tell me, do it at 80% of what you were going to do. And so if I was going to do 10K of intervals, it was going to be 8K of intervals. And so it was going to be a 26-mile run, just back it down to 23. And that's the kind of stuff that intuitively I probably know, and if you're a coach looking at someone's training, but as an athlete doing it yourself, you always think you can do more. And you have to have that, though. If you don't have that, you're not going to be successful when it comes to racing either.
How many miles did you get up? What would you carry as an average?
I averaged, for 10 weeks, I think 103 miles a week in 6 days. I took a day off every week.
6 days, yeah.
Yeah, and that includes the last couple of weeks. I had about I had 110 a week for about 4 or 5 weeks in 6 days, but pretty much took a day off every week, and it's something that's helped me stay healthier. I think I haven't had all the little things that crop up. I was always nursing injuries before.
No nickels or anything?
Nothing really. I mean, I never had to change. I had one day where I kind of had a cramp in my quad, but I basically just pushed the workout back a day, and that was it. I still ran that day, which is that's been good for me. Even before I ran 207, I had my foot started bothering me 10 days out, and I had to cut a hole out of my shoe, and I ran the whole race with a big hole cut out of the shoe, and so even going into Boston, I had a shin problem and a foot problem right after the New York City half, and I mean, other than I got this crink in my neck yesterday morning, right before I came in. I couldn't turn left yesterday.
That's when you're an old man.
Yeah, I've had a lot of work done on it in the last 2 days. It's a lot better. It was really painful running the last 2 days, but that's been the worst of everything going into this. So I feel good about that, but I might have given it away. That if they want to pass me on the left, they might have I still can't quite turn all the way that way.
Is my PR, and that's a great 10K time, but there are guys in the U.S., guys like Ben True and stuff, that are doing amazing things at all sorts of distances. So it's one thing to go to Stanford and run a fast 10K. Anyone can do that. Tim Nelson did that, didn't get a lot of press. So I can understand if people don't give me much publicity because of that, but it's fine with me. I'm happy to do my training and get on with things.
And do you view yourself now as like a pure marathoner? I mean, do you feel like that's a distance that suits you well? Or, sometimes, we say there's 10,000 guys that want to be marathoners, but it just doesn't quite click.
Yeah, I think for a while I was a 10,000 guy pretending to be a marathoner, but this segment I actually did train properly like a marathoner. Like I hit 140 miles for 1 week, and like it used to be in the past I would do long workouts, my quads would be killing me, my feet would be killing me, but now I've been grinding at the longer stuff long enough that I think that I'm at this stage of my career a better marathoner than I am a track guy.
When somebody asked Desiree to pick who she thought the top 3 men might be, she
Yeah.
singled you out too. That's got to
Yeah.
be encouraging, I would think.
Yeah, it would be disappointing if she didn't mention me. Yeah, but no, that's. I mean, she's a great runner, and so if I have her confidence, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
One of the things that's difficult with marathons and track is you don't see the guys racing every week. You don't have the time coming with the event to know, all right, he can do this, he can close his speed.
Yeah.
So how do you come into a race like this and draw confidence in your ability compared to the guys that you have to beat?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point because, there's going to be people at the finishing area of this race being like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe XYZ person did that. And so for me, I think you have an idea of who has marathon talent, who's put in a big training block. You hear chatter about how people are training. So even though people haven't raced, I think you have a general idea of what people are capable of. And so for me, that's just being aware on the course of maybe 10 or so people that I think, if there's 4 miles to go, this is someone that I should be really worried about.
It's obviously going to be hot. How have you historically run in the heat?
I'm up and down. I think I'm a bad heat and humidity guy, but I think I'm a good dry heat guy. So I'm excited that it's dry heat. So Boulder last year was really hot, and I did well there. So that's my last hot race aside from track, which I bombed. So I'm kind of an up and down heat guy. So.
Do you have a point in the race? I think you guys put out and you know, all right, pace 3 meters out, I can hammer it, no matter what the pace is, and I can get through it.
Yeah.
Do you know that in a marathon? Like if it's in that last 6 miles, is there a point where you're like, from 3 miles out, I could go?
For me in the marathon, there's a point in every marathon, like for me, like around 18 miles, you feel like king of the mountain. You can do anything, and then your legs start to go, and you start to think to yourself, "Am I going to be able to make it?" And so, I've had marathons where that occurred at 20 miles, and in Chicago that occurred at like 25 miles. So I just hope that feeling of, oh shit, I'm in trouble, my legs are about to fall apart, happens with like a half mile to go rather than 3 miles to go. So for me, it's kind of like I don't know when that point's going to be, and I just got to hope that it's at 25 miles, not 22 miles.
And so, and that's what's scary.
Yeah.
A move is made, you have to, those last few miles, you have to make the decision.
Yeah.
Can I do this?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of strategy involved too, because some person could have the impulse of, all right, it's 4 miles to go, I'm going no matter what. But that might be the bad decision, and you might hang off of that and capitalize later. So I think that's where, like, the last 4 miles is going to be a huge strategy, because you can't just mechanicalistically think 4 miles to go, time to go. You got to really be tuned into what your body is saying. Probably my mileage this segment. I was doing recovery days of 14 miles in the morning, 6 miles in the afternoon, and hitting all my workouts. So I think my legs have never been as ready as they are to handle the full marathon distance.
What was the weekly volume?
High of 140 and average of probably like 120. Yeah.
How long you been running?
Yep. About 3 years, a little more than 3 years. Yeah.
Definitely helped your training.
Yes, yeah. They're a marathon-centric group, so they know what they're doing with the marathon. So yeah.
And it sounds like you're all ready and you feel great.
Yep.
Like you got a great shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Okay. Thank you.
Best luck. Thank you. Gary Morgan with the Michigan Runner. So good luck, man. I just had to get a few words with you. So awesome. Good luck, man.